Okay, we are live. Actually, we're not. We're just recording, but it's happening now. And hello, Sophia.
Hello, Devin.
So I'll start with want to just thank you for being willing to meet with me. I don't even really remember exactly the invitation that I sent to you or what I said in it, but I've been on a quest of learning to love women, and I'm just getting to know how multidimensional that quest is, and how many. I mean, I could probably talk for too long about it, and I don't want to do that. But a big part of it has been just getting to be with them, and by them I mean women, and ask them questions, and in some ways, get to be stupid in the presence of women, in terms of getting to ask them questions and get to know them and see what comes out of those spaces. And I, I know that I made an invitation to you, and you answered right away, and then something happened and we didn't talk about it. I also didn't get back to you, and it was this
Mhm.
kind of quiet thing for 3 weeks or a month or something. And on my end, I noticed that I was just, my fear was something like to give it space or to let it breathe. And I didn't know if I would get back to you or you would get back to me about it. And then you got back to me a few days ago, which brings us up to now. And when I was sitting, actually, I was walking around just before this. One of the things that I was thinking about specifically in connection with you is that over the last, I've known you for a few years now, and especially over the last few months, getting to be in spaces with you that you're holding or we're collaborating and holding, I've gotten to see something come out of you as a space holder that is like, one word I use is elegance, but also love and sharpness and this creativity where I'm like, who is this person? Because when I what doesn't make any sense to me is I don't perceive this as having anything to do with you becoming more skillful. Although I know you have, but it's like it's as though something has come to life in you that um that blows me away. And and when I was just walking around, I was like, I wonder if you could even talk about that. But I want to hear what it is that's been opening for you, if you know what I'm talking about. And maybe we can just start there and see where we go. Could you talk about that a little bit?
I I I haven't talked about it, so I feel glad about your invitation, and it's like I am more in life, and in that, yeah, I'm smiling because my box is, I have this kind of box that tries to find reasonable words that you can understand and
Forget it.
that I can understand. But this part really, I've been using this reasonableness for so many years, and it does not apply to what has been awakened or what I feel as a life force in me. And it does also not apply to being a woman at all. So I don't know. It's one thing I notice since a few weeks, maybe months, is that I wake up in the morning and I have this sensation that I love my life. I just love being here. And even a few days ago when I was in this swampland again, where yeah, I compared myself, and then I walked outside. First I called Meredith, and then she said, have you been outside weeding in the garden? And I said, no. Have you been outside walking? And she said, okay, then do that and talk to me after that, after you've done that. So I did that, and I had a magical moment of, I felt like I walked like a zombie, like this poor, whining creature, totally immersed in this, in the thought of not being good enough, which is actually so ridiculous. But at some point I had this, I turned around the corner, and I remember I thought, no one's going to come to my rage club, no one's going to want to collaborate with me and be in my circle. And then a voice inside of me said, well, how could people find you? If they cannot find you, they cannot be with you. And that was so true, that
Mm.
all of a sudden the swamp was away. Like I knew, okay, I'm not going there anymore. I created a crack somehow, and through this crack my willpower could decide again, and I decided to not go back into the swamp. And it's so amazing, as soon as I did that, the colors around me came back. It's like I've lifted my head for the first time since maybe an hour
Mm.
again. And I was so touched. I remember I stood there, and the victim sadness I had before really turned into this massive love for Gaia and for being alive on this planet and being able to connect with this bigger consciousness that I call Gaia, and connect with other consciousnesses like you, like friends, all these human beings that I can connect with. So I don't know if that answers your question. If I look at it, maybe it is really this phenomenon of clearing out the garden
Mm.
so that actual stuff can grow in there. Like not, it's not full of baggage or garbage, or
What
and
kind of
that's what I did.
what kind of stuff? Like what's
Mm,
growing in your garden these days?
a lot of love, a lot of love, a lot of love for life and my fellow human beings, mm, and also, how can I say that? I noticed that I start thinking about, okay, I think I never put that into words, so let's try it.
Mm-hmm.
When I was a teenager, I had this question of, why am I here? What's my purpose? What can I bring into this world? And I had this sensation that it's really big. And now it shifted. I'm still connected to the bigness, and I feel it as my archetypal lineage being communicating with me and being an actual thing. Or yeah, it's okay. And now I notice more a question of how can I bring this, really this bring bigness. It's not what is it, but how can I step up even more out of the way so that this something that I can sometimes put into words, that the force, the clarity, also the love and the elegance, all these forces, that they can move me. Yeah. Yeah, it's not about the what anymore, but not so not so often. Actually, very little it's about the what. It's really more about who, how can I collaborate with
Mm.
this field of consciousness.
Mm. Something that I had a conversation with a woman recently because one of my questions has been about men on their initiatory path, and it comes from seeing women, especially lately, seeing women and the women of Earth, and something happens when a woman comes into the field of the women of Earth. And I don't know how to talk about it. I just can see that like something comes alive in her. And it's like this, um, it's vibrant, it's like radiant, it includes like mission and purpose and being vividly alive, turned on in a way. And and this seems to happen almost quickly. And it's like not every woman, but a lot of women coming into that field have that experience, or I observe something like that. And when I look at the men, on the initiatory path, myself included, what I notice is that that doesn't happen. I can't think of so many men where, even in men's groups, even in long men's groups, even in training after training, even going through initiations, even like all this stuff, that something vibrant and unstoppable, um, unstoppably alive comes alive in them. And so I've been wondering what is with that. And along with that, like what's needed for a man to even begin to touch into the part of them that isn't committed to being dead, basically. That the part of them that would be committed to taking a stand for being radically alive. So it's a whole conversation. But when I was speaking with a woman the other day, and she was talking about the women of Earth, and she said something along the lines of what happens with women of Earth is that they that they're for the most part committed to no longer pretending that there's something there, that there is not something in them that does not need to come out and need to come to life. And um I think I want to know more about what that is for you. And I've seen it in some ways in your commitment to the women in particularly the Rage Club space holder training. But I see it in the results. It's like the women around you, the way you pay attention to them, what you say to them, what comes through you. The result is that somehow, even if they've only just been to Rage Club or something, they have more dignity, and they're more alive. And and um what's my question? I guess I'm trying to give you some like ground into it that you could speak into, and I'm not exactly sure what my question is, other than wanting to hear more from you about like what is that stand you're taking for women? What happened in you that you made this flip of like even you could have spent the whole of the other day in the swamp, and something inside you called Meredith. And I see that as you taking a stand for what you know is possible to come through you in life. And that's what I have. I mean, could you say something about any of that?
Yes, it's this. What I see happening in women is, and also in myself, is to acknowledge that I'm not powerless. To quit the game of women being powerless. And I notice how women around me, how I, like I said before, carry really big stuff. We carry big stuff into this world. We
Yeah.
carry seeds that have visions, real visions. And I hear you speak about the men, and I feel also sad about not seeing men's visions, like real visions, not how to make more money or some technology better for profit or for just because it's so interesting, but really to I see these visions from the women and what they bring into the world as connected. Like they build, when I hear them, it's like, oh, she's talking about this part, this aspect, and then another woman speaks, and it's like it's connecting to that aspect. And what starts is a whole picture is being built, a whole culture is being built through the what the seeds of the women have to say. And I think what Women of Earth, what this movement does, is bringing them together. Because when I wandered around with my seed,
Mhm.
oh, okay, I get it. It's big. It has something to say. But where do I dock on? Where is the picture, what that I carry, or the aspect that I carry is lonely when I put it out there in patriarchy by myself. It does not work. It will not make any change. It needs to be put into a ground where it can actually grow. And I see Women of Earth as the ground where these seeds can grow. And the men have not built that for themselves yet. The men, I don't know. I don't know. I really I cannot. I notice I feel really sad speaking about that, because I wish I knew what to do or what to say or what to offer men in general. The only, because I like to collaborate with them at
Would you
this
would you
level
let
of,
this sadness be more present? I don't know what it has to say, but I'm interested.
yeah, I'm sad because I look at the men around me and the men I love, and I see them being lost. And men also carry seeds. Men also carry stuff, and maybe it's more they bring, I don't know, a space, or, but I miss that. I miss, it's also needed. And yeah, my sadness is about, why is it so hard for men to acknowledge that they are lost? I see, for example, there's this man in my possibility team, and he has this huge thing about confusion, being confused,
Mhm.
confusing himself.
Mhm.
And we're two women in the team that were really hammering this into him, or building gentle bridges, or letting the space be totally confused, like all these ways of opening the door to him that this is what he's creating and that something else is possible. And he would not go through it. Like he would not. Yeah. And I feel really sad about that. What does it actually take for men to wake up so that we can collaborate on another level? And this is what I am offering also with my partner, and I'm practicing to 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 say, okay, this is really where I want to go, and I'm not available for anything else,
Mhm.
because I know that something else is possible. I know that we can speak without getting, no, that's not a good example, but like that with this guy, I know that we can be in a space where you have so much clarity. You do not have to confuse yourself, and that this clarity brings the next step that we can walk on to create something. And these steps are missing when the
Yeah.
man is not going through this, or not acknowledging it's his own strategies, confusion, lostness. What has it been like for you? Like I'm really interested in what are the doors that you noticed for men to go through.
I'll
And
tell
yeah.
Yeah, I could tell you what I've been paying attention to recently is that uh well, for instance, I volunteered to be one of the men for the Archiarchal Women's Journey relating, which so I'm like a practice partner in a way. And because of circumstances, I ended up having the kind of privilege of I meet with every woman. So I don't have one partner that I meet with consistently. It's just I'm meeting with every woman at least once who's willing to meet with me. And part of the deal is that the women come and they set the context for the space, and then they come with their impulse. Here's how I want to relate. Here's what I want to try. Whatever. They're sourcing the intimacy that they want. And what I noticed almost immediately in me is there's two things, and I think I noticed this a bit in the other men. One is that okay, I'm being of service, and it's almost like this kind of um, I'm supposed to be. So it's a good thing to do is being good in this space means I'm coming here and I'm being of service to women. And one of the options about that is that it's like, okay, now the women are coming and sourcing the space. And it wakes up something in me. I think it part of me is part of this patriarchal part of me, which is I can just do nothing. Like I can just come and they bring all the stuff, and there's a commitment I think that most men have to mediocrity as part of patriarchal thought, where to not bring something, to not want stuff other than kind of like gremlin or child stuff, but to not feel their own wanting. And what I've been working on lately, also here in the Bridge House in Lakesh, also especially with Keon, is like really living with a great deal of pain of what would it take for me to even feel a little bit of my own wanting. Like I want this space to be a little different. I want to have more energetic clarity in this conversation. I want to be radically alive and I'm dead, but still I want to be really alive. Like to just begin to feel that. And there's something insane for me, and I think it could happen in other men, but there's something insane for me to recognize that a part of me is completely committed to just surviving, just get it, basically just getting through this life so that I can die. And that in a way is the real relating that I have with life. That's just where it is. And I don't know. I don't know what it takes for a man to start to feel that, but that's shocking. I think that, or it can be. There's an opportunity for that to be shocking and, in a way, unacceptable to parts of me that came here for something way different than just being dead and vacant and um, needy.
Mm.
Like I think men, I think I and other men have some like deep longing to contribute, and part of that contribution comes in holding some kind of space for something. And you said this thing about men being lost. I mean, I think that's somehow the first step of, I have no idea what that something is. I'm so dead that I can't even sense with any authenticity what the something is that I'm longing to hold space for.
Mm.
um and I think that's like quest number one, is feeling what it's like to be a man committed to dying, death, causing death. Even I'd say the darker aspects of it, but even hating aliveness, hating when the women come to life, um, um, hating when someone puts their sword to my throat and demands a little bit more from me, like hating to the point of wanting to kill, even, and and, and keep defending the death march.
What happens then, or what it you say this is part. No, forget the question what happens then, but it sounds like utterly dying.
I think so. God, and the other thing is, like, I don't think anyone can take me to that edge, really. I don't think anyone else can. People have been so generous with their investment, their time, their feedback, their coaching, and I am with other men, and without something in them that is just like, I'm doing it now. I'm grabbing onto this, like I don't know what it is to grab onto, but it's like I'm making this my mission to not die without having lived. Like that is the only thing I care about from here until something changes in my life. And I don't know how to wake that thing up in men.
Mm-hmm.
I mean, I don't know if there's any way for someone to do it. Like I don't know if it's something that life in a way provides, like provides such horrifying circumstances that a man goes like bang, bang, bang until it's like, okay, I have to make a choice here. Um, yeah, go.
Yeah, and this is one option, and this is a horrifying option. I mean, an option that can also result in death, like actual death. If you need such big hammers to wake up. I mean, life, that's the beautiful thing I discovered. Life really wants us to be in, be awake and alive and discover this I don't even know how to call it, this force of evolution and having consciousness. Isn't that such a, like, I'm so amazed every day that I have this thing called consciousness and that I can play around with it, fool around with it. And I what is it that what I've tried with men, or what I did that sort of worked. What I mean by worked is I saw something coming alive, and maybe in the first stuff that comes alive is the hatred, is the denial almost also.
Mm-hmm.
And how I did that is, I was going to say I set boundaries, like really clear boundaries, and basically being a no. And now I thought that when I did that, okay, I'm a no, I'm cutting relating, I'm cutting everything, but that's like the last resort. Or no, I did it for me. I did it because I was not willing to sacrifice my aliveness somehow to make the man alive. But actually he was sucking my life energy. And it was whatever, maybe also enmeshed, but now I see it that a no, this no as a boundary is an actual yes. Because it's this yes for something else is possible. And I know you can do it. I can do it. I want it. So I am a no for anything else. And now I see that there's a lot of love in saying no to someone, in setting boundaries. And my purpose right now is not to find a solution for men to wake up or to provide anything for men. It's, yeah, that's not my job.
Would you keep talking about the love thing, like the love
Yes,
and boundaries? And I'm glad you say that it's not your job.
yeah, it's not my job to wake the men up. And but it is my job as a woman to wake my seed up, to bring this to be ridiculously alive. I love how you said that. I'm also not willing anymore to die without having lived. And yeah. And I wrote, I'm in the last sentences of this article called "A Boundary is the Place Where We Meet," because I've really experienced it over and over and over again, how when I finally say no as a woman to either my sister or also a man, or my father, my parents, to stop games, to yeah, really say it's over, that I'm adaptive, or that I'm a child, that then it's like hitting reality, connecting back again to reality, I'm giving the chance to the person across from me to be with me where I actually am. I'm not lying to them anymore.
Mm.
I remember this one time when I did that with my father. I was 19, and we had some kind of discussion which turned out into an argument, and then he came really close to me, like 2 centimeters from my face, and with his usual demeanor, very angry, wanting to be right. Just he didn't he threatened me with his posture, but he didn't call me names, or he didn't touch me.
Mm-hmm.
But I noticed I'm angry. I was really angry because I am not his child anymore, that he could just threaten. So, and I said that. I didn't budge, I didn't go away. And I said to him, it's over, that you can threaten me like this. I'm a grown-up woman, and I'm not available for your threats anymore.
Whoa.
I will not go. I'm not afraid of you. I'm here with you. but this game is over. And I remember it really so clearly, how his face fell, how he, for the first time, it was like taking off his glasses of, this is my child. She's, you know, I'm the parent, and this hierarchy totally crashed.
Mm.
And for the first time, he was able to meet me as a woman. And I notice, or I remember that he was very timid the time afterwards, and in getting to know me. And it was really great to move into what actually is by setting a boundary. No, and I think it also, yeah, it applies to every relational space. Boundary and the clarity that comes with it is a great way to meet in reality.
Mm.
And that's where the love can flow. That's where it comes from, the love. This is like, I don't want to lie to the people that I want to relate with. Why should I do that? Why should I pretend? As a grown-up woman, or I don't have to do that anymore. I'm more interested in what we can create together, what we can explore together, and how intimate this space can be. And it's also scary, but fear is not, I'm not scared of my fear. Not anymore.
Mm.
I didn't know that I would go there, but here we are.
I feel glad. Yeah. It's when my mother's watching these videos, and in a way, there's something in me that I'm not making them for her, but it's something along the lines of, there's so much that you as a woman have been through, and not in patriarchy, that you've stepped out of patriarchy and have spent years feeling and waking stuff up in you and collaborating with other women. And on the one hand, you're my friend, and on the other, I look at you and you are what is possible. Like you're a doorway for, you in particular, Sophia, are a doorway for so many women that maybe never got to touch or taste um, anything other than a fantasy or a revenge against men about patriarchy. And yeah, I'm just letting one word after another come out of my mouth. There's something, it might even be like too precious for the space, or I don't know, but forget that, cancel. Like, I wonder if you have a seed, and I think it's been speaking in different ways here. And I wonder if you could either talk about your seed, or even your seed of archiarchal culture, or let it speak more, like what you know about it. You had said these women come into the Women of Earth space, and one is creating a little center over here, and then over here there's another one, and then they connect somehow. And what is it that what is your seed about?
My seed is about a lot about relating. I'm 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 really touched that you saw that, or that, no, I'm so scared to talk about it, to say how much I love to relate to, yes, to men, yes, to my partner, but also to other women. It's when we when I first got this, how precious, how valuable it is to have my sisters that I can just call. A whole identity crashed, and I'm really glad about that, because my seed, it's so much for me about being with other people. I care about that. I'm learning how to bring it even more into every space I'm in, practicing in the train, to talk to people, to practicing here where I live, and also in the relating to my partner. But it's not the me. Somehow I know that my seed knows. This is what my seed carries, that a relating space can be so simple, can be so clear. And I don't know, that's not the space for drama. Yes, and there's, I think I have not spoken enough about it, or because it seems so, how do you say that in English? So clear to me when I
Uh-huh.
relate to, mm, mm, let's say, my partner or the people I love. Is that there's a part of relating that is so clear to me, but when I talk about how that is for me, how um, negotiating intimacy works for me, when I talk about that to other women, it's so strange to them. So there is something about my seed that I still, I'm still learning to articulate, and it
What's
has a lot. Yeah, it has a lot to do about with this negotiating intimacy and being a yes for the person I relate to. Yeah, I mean, that's one thing. You had a question. Do you still want to ask it now, or should I
I
keep going?
I want you to keep going.
Okay.
And yeah, I want you to keep on unfolding this. And it's especially these corners where most women would hear you and somehow not get it or something. Like I want to hear what's that.
Yeah, it's this. Um, if I do not know what I want in relating, then I immediately, I'm lost to what maybe the other person wants. And in relating to men, it's like you said, mostly they don't know what they want.
Yes.
So the most conversations I have with women are about what you want. What do you want? And the when I bring that into a relating space as a woman, then I open this door for mm, yeah, this is exactly the point where the words I open a it's like a stage or a place that is reachable. And that's, yeah, I open up something that was impossible before as something we can achieve together. We can go there because when I say what I want, I'm sourcing it. I'm sourcing it to the degree that it can be inhabited, occupied. You know, I can go there. And it doesn't mean that I am the one creating all of it. It simply means that I open this door and let the light shine through the door into the relating space. And it gets so attractive to find out what's behind that door that the other person might want to go there with me. But if I don't open that door by saying what I want and what I don't want,
Yeah.
the light cannot come shine through. So that's yeah, and I've never said that this way. Yeah, so many women make it about the men, make it about what they want, and
The men who don't, they make it about the men who do not know what they want.
yes, and this creates so much confusion and so much almost giving up, to the degree of giving up as a woman, who I am, what I want, and also just being in this. There's a German word, it's called Gleichgültigkeit. It's this, I don't care anymore. Yeah, you laugh,
So it's like
but it's
resignation.
resignation, and you basically giving yourself over. I just had a call with a woman yesterday, and for her it was so normal to say, I asked her, what do you want? I want him. I want him to see me or talk to me or share with me. And yeah, the degree to which she was giving basically all of herself to him was so, she didn't even notice. And that's part of my seed, that I'm like, how can you do that to yourself? How can you as a woman give yourself over to the man so much? And I also did that so many times. But we're not getting anywhere. We're not getting anywhere when we all do that. When we all just give our center away to someone who doesn't even know what he wants. And I really see in next culture, in Archiarchy, I see how powerful an adult woman and an adult man can stand next to each other, and the space between them is clear, and forces can work through them. It's really this picture, but where the space between a man and a woman, yes, serves something greater or something bigger can come through to create the village, to create the family, but also it's this very clear, intimate space. I see it both ways. If these are the faces of men and a man and a woman, we can walk next to each other. We
Mm-hmm.
can walk next to each other, and there's space in between where it's almost a third being can grow,
Yeah.
energetically, archetypally, and also physically, of course. But then this is one way we can face or walk together, but we can also face each other and see each other and be with each other. And that's what I mean with it's like multidimensional intimacy.
Hmm.
Goes in this direction, it goes in this direction, it goes out even, or into Gaia. And I have like, yeah, my box does not know how to create that, like how to bring this clarity to men and women. And I've I find it I find myself a lot in women's spaces lately
Hmm.
to to create together. We're creating the Frauen der Erde, the German Women of Earth team, or just just being together as women, putting stuff on the table, and then what yeah, this is where I put my attention into. This is where I think it's the first step for my seed to grow, is
Yeah.
in these women's spaces, so that then these women can go out and into their relating space.
I'm going to pause the recording.